with no sheet music. And the only answer is that the soul that is incarnated in that child remembers its previous life as a musician.
Of course.
Like these chess players, you get these young kids who can play chess and they're like grandmasters by the time they're 3 or 4 years old or whatever it is. Well, that's just not on. There's got to be a reason for it. And the reason is that the soul that incarnated in that child used to play chess. But 9 times out of 10, we don't remember what we did in our previous lives. Some people do.
I wish I did. What I thought was completely amazing, it freaked me out, was that the card. Tell me about the card.
Birthday card.
Jeffrey.
Yeah?
Go for it.
How much time we got left, Sandra?
Well, 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. Yeah, this made it to the newspapers, this one. In a shop in Whitby, where I live, it's called the Card Factory, and it just opened, and everybody went to the new shop to buy discounted wrapping paper. And on one of the carousels was a birthday card with my picture on it. And
Crazy.
I looked at it, and I was absolutely stunned because I had no recollection of this, and I'd never given any permission for this.
Do you remember the car? Do you remember being in that car?
No, not at all. I had the car identified as a Phantom 3 or a Phantom 4 Rolls Royce.
Flipping
So I had the car identified, and cut a long story short, because you've only got 10 minutes, the managing director of Card Factory was very helpful, a young guy. He said, look, I've bought this image from somewhere else, I'll give you the details for the MD. So I got hold of that managing director. He was very helpful. He bought this picture, this is where it gets interesting, from America, from Seattle. And what your listeners won't know is that 75% of all pictures in greetings cards in Britain are copyrighted in America, and it's actually in Seattle. So got to this company and had a long discussion with them, and they basically said, can you're telling us that's your picture, you prove it. And I said, well, I can, because I remember those glasses and the shirt I'm wearing. So they were trying to be clever and said, oh, well, if you remember the year, won't you? And I said, actually, I do. I'll tell you, based on the shirt and the glasses, that was about 1997. Anyway, it went quiet the other end, and the guy said to me, oh, right, well, that's good enough, because the date I've got here is 1996. So we better take this seriously. So there was about 2 weeks of emails, because, again, they're America, time difference.
Yeah.
And in the end, he basically said, we're not going to take it any further because English law doesn't touch us. In other words, there's nothing you can do. So I then went to the local newspapers and said, look, run this story because I'd like you to put pressure on these people, which they did. They bombarded them. But all they said to the newspapers was no comment, no comment, no comment. Now, the end part of the story, which is the best part of this, is that I went back to the card shop and said, look, I want you to pull these cards. You haven't got my permission. And the managing director who I spoke to said, look, we've already pulled them. But he said, it's not because you've made a complaint. He said it was a test run. We wanted to see how well they'd sell. So my heart just dropped because I thought, oh my God, there must be hundreds and hundreds of these cards out there. So I said to him, well, how many did you produce? How many have you made? So he said 6. So I said 6. I said, I've bought 6. He said, oh, well, you've bought our entire stock out. And I said, well, hang on a minute. How can you possibly know how well a product sells if you just make 6 of them? How can you tell?
Yeah.
So he said to me, and I quote, well, I'm just the managing director. I don't know. I said, right, okay, let me get this straight. You've produced 6 of these cards. And which branch did you put them in? Because they've got branches throughout all of the United Kingdom. And he said, oh, your branch.
Yeah, we've got one here.
Right, so I said, okay, right, so you produced 6 of these cards with my picture on, and of all the branches in the country you could have sent them to, you sent them to the town where I live. So he said to me, it's a small world, isn't it? So we just agreed to say goodbye and be friends. But he knew a lot more than me.
Boy, he doesn't... None of it is mind-blowing. It just doesn't make sense why they would do that.
Well, the card actually says on it, I don't know if you've seen the card, and it says, I get called, it's really strange in it because they don't obviously use my name, and it just says it doesn't use the word. It says SH, and then it puts the stars in, so it doesn't actually say the word. Yeah. But it says bears don't SHIT in the woods, and you wouldn't buy a card like that anyway. Well, you wouldn't buy a birthday card. It's just weird, and for your listeners, it's a back of a Rolls Royce. I'm sitting on one side, and then there's this bloody great big bear, like a big, I don't know what you'd call it really, just like a big cuddly toy, but huge, sitting next to me. And you'd say to yourself, well, what on earth is that all about? And I've got no explanation for it. I mean, all I can possibly say is that somebody is saying, we know what you're up to, but I wish I knew what I was up to.
That freaked me right out.
But the photograph, you see, wasn't taken through the window. It's not like a newspaper man or woman taking a picture through the window. This is a hidden camera because the angle of it is like the camera was hidden down in the where you put your feet. Yeah. So it's looking upwards at me. So it's obviously a hidden camera placed in the car.
I don't know. But what about this hollow earth?
Wow, that's got me going as well, because there's so much good evidence going right back to certainly to the Nazi era, where the Germans were desperately trying to stash stuff away, and just after the Second World War, Admiral Byrd went out with a flotilla of American ships to investigate this, and something happened. I don't believe that the Earth is hollow for one moment, but I do believe that there are very large caverns somewhere under the Earth where you could have a sizable town. So I don't believe that the Earth is hollow. That to me is nonsense. But I can foresee possibilities of communities living somewhere in the Earth.
Because one bloke said that he did go in.
Pardon?
I don't know whether there's a man that said he went in and he come out again.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, if people want to Google Admiral Byrd, they will see some original footage, just after the war footage of his task force, 2,000 Marines, which were dispatched to Antarctica to find the entrance to the hollow Earth, because the Americans believed that the Germans were storing stuff there, and that's well worth a read up. So I do accept it. I think there is a sizable community there, but I think that this community goes a long way back, far before the Second World War.
Right, so in the last couple of minutes,
okay,
what about Bez for Prime Minister?
Well, what do you think? Do you think he's...
Great. Get on with it. Get on with it, Bez. Could he do worse? No. He wants to give us free energy. He's telling us all, grow your own veg. He wants a new banking system. Just the free energy did it for me.
Yes.
That was enough. Free energy, fine. Don't have to say anything else. Free energy. I'm with you. I'm putting my tick next to your name.
The thing is that, you see, we couldn't have done this even 5 years ago. 5 years ago, it just wouldn't have happened. We've now got people who, and I suppose I include myself in this, who are coming forward and not just saying, this is my experiences, but actually saying we've got to change the way that we're governed. Yeah. We can no longer accept...
It's no pointless moaning and going on and saying all the same. We've got to think of something else and get on with that. So, let's...
It's time for a massive change.
Yeah, and Bez is, he said no one else has done it. No one else will stand up and do it. So, I'm not educated. I'm not no speaker, but I'll have a go. And that's good enough for me.
I totally agree with you. But we all have to be very careful, because sometimes, good intentioned people meet with accidents, and that's
well, I think that's probably one of the reasons he's made himself into a political party.
I think that the more attention you bring to yourself, the better it is, because it's less likely something bad's going to happen to you.
Because it's what he has to do.
But no, I absolutely agree with anybody who wants to free the human race from this blasted servitude. I mean, people are no better than slaves. Here's the example. if you're lucky enough to try and get a mortgage, okay, so let's say you're lucky enough to get on the mortgage ladder.
Yeah,
you have your mortgage, you pay off the mortgage, and then you become old, and so you have to go into a care home, so they make you sell your house to pay off for the care home. So the banks who sold you the house in the first place get the damn thing back at the end anyway. It's just one big circle with them. And until people wake up and realise how they're being tricked and conned, it's got to end. Can't keep treating people as if they're nothing better than cattle. And unfortunately, that is the way that people are treated. And it's very obvious that the big corporations are becoming more and more arrogant and more greedy.
Have you heard about 2016? And apparently they were supposed to be getting that. Supposed to be getting hit by something.
I wouldn't use the word hit by something. I see it as a positive thing. I see it as another upgrade on an energetic level that the human race needs to take it to the next stage. So I don't accept, some people are talking about asteroids or meteorites and this, that and the other, but I actually don't see it as that at all.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
No,
right,
we'll still be here for Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Well, you will come on again, won't you, Simon?
Yes, of
because
course.
I'm
even though you hit me with 10,000 questions, and I hope I've done a good job.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoy talking to me as much as I enjoy talking to you, because
I do actually, because there are very few intelligent men or women in and it's very nice to meet somebody who has the knowledge. You're not pushy. You just calmly sit there. You ask the questions, and you don't lead. That's very important. You don't lead the subject. So I've got a hell of a lot of respect for you.
Oh, thank you, Simon. Thank you. And promise me that you'll come on again. And before you go, tell me. I'll play it next week now. But
okay.
Give me a record.
You want a record from me?
Yeah, to play for you next.
How many minutes of the record will you play?
All of it. I can't play it now. It'll be next week now.
I appreciate that.
So, what record do you want next week?
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I tell you what I'll have. I'll have any record from Lady Gaga.
Oh, right. She was the last...
Simply because there was a reason why I do everything. Because Lady Gaga was a victim of the Illuminati. And if it hadn't been for Sir Elton John, who helped her immensely, she probably would have killed herself.
Oh, I think you're going to have to tell me all about that story.
Oh, well, that'll be the next visit, won't it?
It will indeed.
So, all full marks to Sir Elton John for helping somebody who was very defenceless at the time. There are good people in the media industry, and he's one of them.
Oh, I've always loved Ellen, and I love him even more now I know that. Oh, thanks, Simon. Thank you very, very, very much.
Pleasure.
And we'll talk again soon.
You take care.
Yeah, and you.
Bye now.
All right, bye, Simon.
Bye-bye.
Oh, lovely. Wasn't that brilliant? Let's take that mic down. That was completely brilliant. Thank you, Simon, for coming on. And now I've got to go because I've missed the news. But wow, how quick was that hour? Flipping heck. Right, so come back next week and feed your soul.
Don't let me down.